Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to welcome you all who are here and having a great time experiencing the chat for Welcome to All for Success. This is a channel that is very supportive of all things Harry and Meghan and Mama Doria, and of course the kids, and all of the things that are in the lives of the Sussex couple. We would like to um, be thankful that so far they're still trying to hang in there and deal with all of the things they have to overcome. So, I'm going to welcome all of you to the channel. If you haven't had your coffee yet, sit down a moment, get your coffee ready. I know I'm running a little bit late for early morning coffee, and I am going to try to get back on schedule to have coffee earlier in the morning, especially on Saturday morning, because you need to get it in before you get out there and run your errands. Like me, I have a lot of things I need to get done, usually later in the day. So, with that being said, this is going to be a very short and kind of more of a filler live chat. I still do have a lot of practicing to do before I do live chats where I have interaction with other people and I bring up some people to talk and give their comments as well. But in the meantime, right now, it's just me talking to you, but I want to encourage everyone to get in there, exercise, stay healthy, eat well, and overall keep yourself on track to feeling better about things. One thing I have noticed, and I have to be careful with, and I'm sure you all have noticed it as well, is that if you're not too attentive to how you feel, sometimes some of this news that's in today's headlines along with the news about the Sussex couple, sometimes that information and that news can make you very upset. And if you're not careful, you can find that you're having physical reactions to some of the things you read or some of the things you watch. So be very careful about what you take in. If it's something that's actually on the cusp of making you just as angry as you've ever been, then you might want to hit the pause button or delete that particular video or just not watch that at all. It's not a bad idea to take a break from the extreme news cycle. Some of the news today is enough to make anyone livid over everything that you hear because you feel that you're so completely out of control. Now, be advised, as we talked in the last chat, and I spoke a little bit about advertising and marketing, be advised that is the goal of much of the media that is out here today. Their absolute goal is to keep you on edge, constantly agitated, absolutely irritated, livid, and in a state of complete and total flux. So you have to work very hard to keep yourself calm and to pay attention carefully to how you feel about what you're hearing. So be warned, if it's too volatile, if it's so much lie filled, anxiety driven broadcasting, then you are very much aware that that is specifically designed to set you on edge. And there are news entities, I have no idea why they wanted to have that platform for their particular business model, but their business model is actually creating destruction all over the world. So, what I would like to do, hopefully, you all have got your coffee. So, we're going to quickly just look at a couple of things that were talked about this week, or we're going to maybe comment on a couple of things. As you know, in the upcoming fall de the all of the preparations are still on their way for the coronation that is going to take place in the UK. The coronation is going to be scheduled for 6 May. And for all of those who are very aware of what's going on in the lives of the couple, the Sussex couple, we are also aware that that date is extremely significant to them because it is the day of their birthday. And so, with that conflict in mind, it made it a lot easier for Meghan, or the Duchess, to excuse herself from participating in these festivities. Now, Harry, however, is still on the hook. He's going to attend. Now, what we're all hoping for is that he'll go in and go out, and that this will not allow anyone in the nether regions to continue to critique him for not attending. But of course, the UK personnel being the way that they are, they're still going to find every single thing they can to be wrong with his presence, because that is what they do. We are still, as a group, kind of supporting this family. We are still, I'm sure, shocked and somewhat in awe of the level of absolute cruelty that family members are willing to stand by and watch their family members endure. They have been a fantastic example of how a family can continue to create abhorrent pain for its family members. Now, I wanted to point out in this couple, I'm sure that you can see here on this video, I wanted to point out something that I don't know if many people were keeping at the front of their mind, is that this is the person that the king actually wanted to spend his life with. And it was only because he was convinced or cajoled or told that it was his duty to actually select a different, more appropriate person. And that for us was Lady Diana. Okay? But he originally had no love for her. He originally had no real attachment to her. And he originally was basically in this marriage only out of duty and being influenced and basically somewhat forced to take this person or a different person as a bride. Because the consideration at that time, because he was single, he was a single man and literally listed as having no children, it was imperative that he get married, and the marriage required a young, virginal female, and of course, of the aristocracy, which is another add in. And his bride, Lady Diana, was suitable and respectable in those ways. So we have to be remembrance. We have to always keep in the forefront of our mind that all of these things that are happening between him and his family members, which, and I'm going to say Prince Harry and Prince William, if they didn't toe the line and love who he loved and accept who he has accepted, they are the children, basically, of a woman that he had very little concern about. So, in essence, I'm going to talk about transference. I don't think he has a heavy duty love, in depth love of his sons, because they are her sons, Lady Diana's. I believe that he feels a far more emotional connection to those in and around his new wife, Camilla Parker Bowles. Now that's hard to believe, but I mean, all of us out here who are regular people, we have seen this. We've seen this all over the place. We've seen the step families that do not get along. We've seen the step families with children who cannot stand their step parent. We in the regular world, we've seen this. But now it's on a very broad, visible stage. Now, the catch is going to be, or the thoughts are going to be, will Harry ever truly grasp how that is actually working in his life? You know, the question will be, how does Harry truly understand the relationship between him and his father? Okay. So then also in the next thought, we have to look at what Prince William has been portrayed as having a particular opinion about his mother. And that opinion, always for the convenience of the UK media, it contains Prince William's concern about her mental health, as if, of course, Lady Diana was mentally incapable. Or number two, that she was paranoid. Those are key words that are always farmed out by the UK media. So let's look at those two words and let's look at how the UK media, again, advertises and markets this particular perception. Well, one, you're supposed to think that Lady Diana all the time, that she was just crazy. And then number two, you were supposed to always think that if she suspected that someone was going to do her harm, that she was just a nutcase. Now, here's the question that I'm asking all of you. Here's something I want you to ask yourselves and others. Are you paranoid if you say, I think someone is going to try to harm me, and then you get harmed? Is that actually paranoia? Or would we call that a prediction? So that's just something I want you to think about. That's just the thought. Now, in the world that we live in, of course, if we're sitting around our tables and expecting that out of this entire event in the 90s, that there would be some sort of absolute light shone upon the events surrounding her death and the death of Dodi Fayed, you can, of course, rest assured that that's not likely to happen, right? But if we lived in a very fanciful, picturesque world of perhaps one of the most famous detective shows, you would probably hear that there were very extensive investigations surrounding her mishap. But what I really want you to focus on more than that, because I don't think that's something that in the future will be fixable, but I want you to think about and help others who don't have this understanding. When they're listening to the media and watching what the media is putting out, the questions behind the curtain. If she was mentally unstable and if she's paranoid, what is it called when you think someone is going to harm you, or you believe that you are going to be harmed so that it would free up the path of someone else? So, what is that called when you are actually harmed? Can you still be called paranoid? I mean, can we still, 30 years later, say that she was paranoid? How is it possible that a UK tabloid would state that Prince William felt his mother had become paranoid? Think about that, okay? Just something for you to mull over. Because for me, and in the world that I live in, that would be called being able to predict the future. Um, it's just an interesting thing to have said, and it's an interesting thing to say current day, that she was paranoid, when when we already know she was actually harmed, right? So, that being said, Let's move on to another wonderful person that was in featured along with these recent um, discussions over Harry and Meghan attending the coronation. One of our favorite people who used to be a host on The View, Meghan McCain, who is a wonderful and a fabulous person to follow her career, a career based on, well, her father, perhaps, her career talking about her father. Here is an individual who felt that it was necessary to, because we have Twitter, right? So people believe that because Twitter exists, social media exists, these are entities that feel that they must express themselves publicly because these modes exist. So they need to express themselves. So, with that being said, Meghan McCain felt it necessary to have a negative reaction to Meghan Markle saying, no, she's not attending. So, for months and months and months, the UK media, the UK tabloids, and all the talking heads, and those who are, for whatever reason, in the United States, curiously on the right wing, curiously on the right wing, they tend to seem, for some unknown, mysterious reason, they seem to have the same opinion of the British monarchy and the UK tabloids. And I'm not going to say that these people are not bought by the right-wing media, but it appears that they are because they all speak with one voice, which is Meghan is bad. Okay, so she felt that she needed to make a comment about it. I'm sure she's waiting for people to bring her into the limelight and have her interviewed over and over. But you know what's interesting? It's no one really cares. And it's interesting because I'm going to keep an eye open for how she is going to try and leverage Meghan Markle so that she can then be brought back into the limelight. Because aside from a few references to this comment that she made on Twitter, and these references are buried way down in these deep tabloids or in these online forums and vlogs, other than that, it did not hit mainstream world that, oh, Meghan McCain is back and now her opinion matters. So I'm going to keep my eye out for that because once again, just like the right wing does, and they have absolutely studied this art, they have mastered the art of piggybacking off of other people to attain their social influence. They have the inability to create anything, but they somehow piggyback off of everyone else. And that's not a political statement, that's just a statement of observation of the people who are doing it. So keep that in mind. Also, here's something to think about for those of you who are very detective-like inclined. I'm still trying to understand the connection between all things right in the United States and the United Kingdom. I do not understand that connection, but the characters like the Rupert Murdochs and the Harvey Weinsteins and the rich aristocracies, somehow they've embedded all of these talking heads into our world here in the West. And I think we need to be very careful of how many people here in the United States are talking for us, telling the world what our opinion is, on television saying what it is we like and what we don't like, and who we support and who we don't support. I, for one, 100% American through and through. I support who I want, and I like who I want. And I'm not standing by waiting for someone in the UK to tell me if it's okay. Okay? So, next up, I just thought that was important. It's really important. We have to pay attention to these things because people often like to try to tell you what you think or what you should think. Also, who we have here is a wonderful, wonderful time that Meghan was having with the Queen while she was still here with us. It would appear that this was like a wonderful capsulation of the moment, although it is constantly reiterated that she and the queen did not get along. Oh, the queen was not interested in her, and all of these things. But if I had to make up, just like they make up their own stories, if I had to make up my own story about their relationship, it would be that perhaps Meghan held the characteristics that were more like and more akin to the queen herself. She was a hard worker. I mean, just like the queen, her early years of life, she was embarking on a career and on the ability to live a life independent of royalty as far as her relatives. They had no plan to be royal. It was something that happened due to an abdication. Then she continued to be able to work physically, to do things, and to embark on studies and learn things as well as perform her duties. And so she performed those duties of showing up where they told her to show up, attending the events they told her to attend, meeting the people they told her to meet, and to try to encourage the relationships that she was trained and taught to encourage. And that is what she did. And I believe that someone like Meghan Markle in attitude would embody the same attitude. Once again, from the UK media's point of view, they feel like she's someone that came out of nowhere and is trying to make it in life. However, this is a young woman that she had a job. She worked. She's a young woman that worked for a living. So the idea that she wasn't going to work for a living was not a part of her DNA. This is something that the UK media, tabloids, and these naysayers on television want to imply. That instead of her being the hard worker that she was already, the person that was going out and getting the jobs that she wanted to get, the person that was involving herself in various charities already, that's who she was before Harry. But the UK media, the tabloids, and television would like for you to believe that is not who she was. That instead, she was laying around somewhere, waiting for something fantastic to happen, hoping to hit the lottery, and bang, Harry is the lottery. And they know that that's not true. And that is why what then seeps in, because you see, they can't keep their hate on the same rail. Their hate can't move in the same direction. They're all over the place. So while they're trying to say she's lazy and shiftless, at the same time, they're angry because she's making money. Now they're mad that she's able to make money. So now she's all about nothing but money, right? You see, they just go back and forth. She wanted the royal family so that she could get rich. Well, she left the royal family, and guess what? She's still rich. They can't stand that. It's making them insane. And so for those of you who are watching all of these events like I am, you can see that many of these people are losing their minds. And in several cases, and I'm sure you're watching some of these people like I am, there are two particular personalities on the television, two of these wonderful announcers. These two people are having such a fit, running around the world trying to tell people to hate Harry and Meghan. And I suspect it's because they are scared to death. They appear terrified. They're always looking for some allies. Well, what do you think about this Harry and Meghan situation? And then they're always hoping that the other person will say something negative. They seem to be able to get that from Bill Maher. They seem to be able to get that from various television personalities here in the West, the Meghan McCains, the people who are willing to stand up and say, yeah, we think they're ridiculous too. Ha 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 ha. But overall, I think they can sense that underneath all of that, there's a current underneath all of that they can't tap into. And they're aware that current is one of support and one of If not apathy, where people are like, oh, I don't know anything about this, then there's a current of support. And I think that terrifies them, because I believe these people, just like that court case with all these other people on these channels where they're suing these suing these news networks for just flat out lying. I believe this court case with Harry coming up is about to terrify the rest of them. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to see it. I'm hoping that it will be as exciting as all get out. I I want, if I could just cross my fingers, I would love for this court case to pull the cover off of so much of their nonsense, lies, and filth. Okay? So, with all of that, I want to wrap it up by saying to you, thank you all for coming in on my live. I'm going to try to keep them short until I get a little bit more comfortable with what I'm doing. I'm still going to tell you how much I support the couple. I really do. It's, for me, I feel like I'm standing in the space of Megan's mom. I always tell you guys that. I see myself as a parent of these two, just like I'm a parent of any other of the adult children that I have. And we want the best for our kids, no matter how old they get. Yes? And I want that for them. I don't want them to deal with any of these trials and tribulations. But we also know that when people all come against you, and with the amount of pushback that these two are getting, with it being gathered all around the world, that tells us something. That tells us, you know what? We believe you're on the right track, because you wouldn't get this kind of pushback if you're not doing anything that's right, right? People who do wrong, they don't get any pushback. That you don't even see their names in the news. Okay? So that being said, I want you guys check in on your steps every day. I want you to know I did 3,000 steps every day during my lunchtime at work. Ha ha. So everyone, you got to keep up with me. You need to walk a little bit, at least 20, 30 minutes if you can, if you get a chance on a day. Get those steps in. Also, finish up your coffee, and then get out here this morning and take care of all the rest of the errands that you have. Thank you for joining us, and please, please, if you have the chance, like and subscribe. And if you like, share my content, and perhaps other people might enjoy it as well. And if you have any suggestions or thoughts, add them to the comments below. I would love to hear them. Thank you so much.